strategic move that Eddie is making for AJ? Why are you not thinking, let's get him set up for
kind of animal? That was years and years and years ago. Like, Clarissa is a way different fighter from when she was back in.
Thanks to those joining me live and to those that will be joining me on our
defenses that she's had to have recently. You know, she's pulled people.
All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the Roundtable about tribalism. I don't think tribalism is necessarily bad. I just don't think it has to be.
I don't know what he think he sees or what he think he know. But he going to the hospital, bro. Like, bro, you not winning that fight.
You guys mentioned, I think, D-Style, you mentioned him versus Regis Program. I'd love, that sounds like a...
I don't need you, you know, and PBC and others, in my opinion, it's like, oh, this is my guy. Like, there's a relationship.
Flat out, it's tough, and we call box, and we go to the end of the round, and then...
That would say, what do you mean by acting black? That's a fair question, but a participant of trash talk knows.
And they're announcing a fight 3-4 months from now, and he ain't gonna fight. I bet you anything, he's not gonna fight somebody as good as John Ryder.
All right, we're back with another edition of the Roundtable. We got an awesome panel as usual. We are going to be joined by, from across the pond, Base the Kid, fresh off the press conference today. Great to have him on board. We got In the Ring with Christine, who has been working her butt off out there. Shout out to In the Ring with Christine for all the hard work she's been doing. And D-Style Boxing, he's okay. But let's just jump right in. Let's just jump right in, man. We got the big fight tomorrow. Shakur Stevenson versus Edwin De Los Santos. You know, and we find ourselves asking this question all the time when we have like a big favorite. And we've been wrong a few times, like with Cordina and Vasquez. We thought Cordina was going to pretty much win that fight handily. I had the fight a draw. I thought it could have gone either way. But Shakur is in there with the guy tomorrow night, Edwin De Los Santos, who's a big underdog. He's going to have his work cut out for him on paper, it looks. But like I said, we've been wrong. Shakur looks fired up, but De Santos looks unfazed. I'm guessing this may be a better, tougher fight than we anticipate. D-Style, what do you think? How do you think this plays out tomorrow night?
Should be a very interesting fight. I know De Los Santos is, I don't know if he's getting under skin or just annoying him with a Shakira Twitterson thing. I guess because he's alluding that he's always on Twitter or whatnot, but at the end of the day, they're about to fight. Also, there's you know, Stevenson seems irritated with the quote-unquote media, whoever that is exactly, just in general, the boxing media, and he got upset with some, it looked like a reporter, quote-unquote, that kept asking Devin Haney questions. They told him, hey, dog, it looks like you're in love with Devin Haney. You keep bringing Devin Haney up, you know, like... So the guy was even asking De Los Santos about Devin Haney. It is what it is in the week of a fight, but I'm looking forward to it. I will say this. De Los Santos' best shot is to blitz early, start strong, and try to finish Stevenson, or at least set the stage where you could hurt him early, land something big, get a big knockdown, overwhelm Stevenson, maybe get that 10-9 in the first round. He's gonna have to start fast. Now, obviously, the risk with that is that you run out of gas, you're out of coal, but I just don't think if he's worried about conserving energy, bro, you're not going to outbox Stevenson. It just isn't going to happen. I think Stevenson should win this fight handily. De Los Santos will be dangerous for the first few rounds because he could crack. But I think Stevenson, he's fought punchers before. He's fought guys that could box before. He's fought a variety of styles, and he handled it just fine. The question to me is not, can De Los Santos pull it off? Because I'm going to be honest with you, I think there's a very slim chance. But the question is, can Stevenson continue a streak of stopping guys? He's been more aggressive. He's been sitting on his punches more, you know, in this weight class, and I'm liking that. Ever since that speech from Bradley, he seems to get more aggressive, and I'm not 100% sure, but I like the odds. It's 3.5 to 1 odds that Stevenson gets a stoppage, and I like those odds because I do think De Los Santos is going to start strong. I think he's going to exert a lot of energy early, and I think Stevenson stops him late. That's what I'm going with this. So that's that.
So, base, like I said, looks like De Los Santos is trying to ruffle Stevenson's feathers a little bit. You think he's trying to like lure him into a slugfest? You think he's trying to play, play games and get in his head and try to get him to fight his type of fight? And do you think it's going to work tomorrow night?
Well, what I have to say is I have to preface this on the fact that I've not seen a lot of the media stuff over there because there's been so much going on this side, and with it being a Thursday night, like I have a lot of things that I do Monday and Tuesday, so my media is normally today onwards. So I haven't seen a lot of that stuff, but going by what you've said, yeah, I can imagine his idea is to irritate Shakur and maybe get him to fight out off of emotion a bit more, or maybe just off outside of game plan just to prove something. But one thing that I've seen from Shakur is he does very well in that whole trash talk moment and being in those positions. And every time it just seems to almost make him double down on his tactics of I'm going to fight the way I want to fight, despite what you're trying to get me to do. Because I think that he feels that is actually like a more of an offensive weapon against them. Where like, oh, I've been trying to get in his head. He's like, okay, yeah, you're in my head, but guess what? I'm still doing what I'm doing. Now you're the one that's having to react because I'm not biting on what you wanted me to do. So I think that's the kind of the approach we're going to get. Maybe there might be a couple times additionally where he loads up on shots as opposed to maybe just looking for the correct connections to break De Los Santos down. But I kind of I see it going the distance at this point in time. Again, I haven't seen much of it. I do need to check out the weigh-ins. I will be doing an early basis picks first thing in the morning before the second press conference that takes place over here. But yeah, I feel like it's a distance type fight, especially with Shakur being there with someone that he knows can punch. I don't think he's going to take the necessary chances to get De Los Santos out of there, even if he does maybe have him hurt. That's kind of how I see it.
So, Christine, do you think De Santos is like waking the sleeping giant, poking the bear, and maybe he's going to get more than what he asked for tomorrow night from Shakur?
I can see that, and then especially with Shakur too, getting kind of annoyed with some of the media and with De Los Santos. I see that is the case, and a lot of times, he gets annoyed, and to me, I think that fuels the giant in him. I really like this fight though, because I really like De Los Santos' style, like the way he stalks his prey and him being southpaw and he's got some power. So I really do like this fight because I believe that it's going to be one of the many tests that we're going to see with Shakur. De Los Santos did something, this is like minute, but something that I saw in one of his fights. So we teach like a step jab where it's like you step jab as you're exiting out, and I saw him do that. And I was like, so things like that really excite me, to see little things like that I'm familiar with. And, but I do believe that Stevenson is going to win. It'll go into later rounds. And I also agree that he will stop De Los Santos probably with some body shots because we know Stevenson has great body shots. So, but I do think it's fueling him. I think things like this, words and annoyances do fuel Stevenson for sure.
Can't hear you, Joe.
Sorry about that. One fight on that card that could steal the show. Robson Conceicao versus Emanuel Navarrete for the WBO Super Featherweight Championship. And you have two styles that I think mesh perfectly together. You got Conceicao, obviously the counterpuncher, and you got Navarrete, who's that aggressive, come forward, unorthodox guy who's going to wing the wide shots. And it'll be interesting to see how Conceicao deals with that, if he can thread the needle with those precise counter punches. I think Conceicao is definitely live here. Base, do you give him a shot in this one?
100%, I give him a shot. Look, ultimately, Olympic gold medalist. He's already gone through the worst parts of his career, which was, I think, losing his debut fight. Outside of that, everything has pretty much been strength to strength. He even, he went in there and, you know, went the distance against Shakur Stevenson that didn't have to cut as much weight as he did. You know what I mean? So so if he could do that against someone who's, you know, the naturally bigger guy at that point, I can see him having a really good moment or two against Navarrete. The question is, can he do enough to make those moments count? That's not what I'm not 100% sure about. But in terms of him being able, if it just comes down to boxing, Navarrete will probably, you know, win the volume, the volume punching of the two. But if he can pick the right shots, he can definitely pick up the rounds. You know, Navarrete is not infallible, especially at 130. And if he's looking to move up to 135, any of the abilities, the natural abilities that he had at the lower weights are definitely gonna start to erode. So yeah, Conceicao could be catching him at the perfect moment, but I guess you just gotta wait and see. But the brilliant thing is, he haven't got long to wait, only one day.
Yeah. What do you think, Christine? Could this fight steal the show? I think it has all the ingredients to do so.
I think it does. I think this is definitely a matchup that's going to be very exciting. You know, I sometimes worry about Conceicao's balance. He's a little off balance sometimes when he throws shots, and if Navarrete catches him at the right time, you know, it's not going to be good. But also, I am concerned about Navarrete because sometimes, you know, he lunges in with his punches, you know, and if Conceicao can like meet him with a punch as he's lunging in, that could totally turn the whole show around. So I'm excited about this matchup. I think it's a good one. I think Conceicao has great boxing ability. We know Navarrete's a beast, a monster, and I'm really excited to see what the outcome's going to be.
Okay. So D-Star, we know you love to do your little parlays for these fights.
Mm-hmm.
How are you going to do this one?
It'll be in a parlay because I'm pretty confident Navarrete is going to win, but I don't know, I might not, but I don't know. The odds are kind of wide, to be honest. But
the method of victory is going to be difficult on this one.
The method of victory is like, I don't know if it's going to be stoppage or it's going to be decision.
Yeah,
but if I just get a straight up W with a parlay, then it is what it is, right?
You need.
But here's the thing. Conceicao, I still remember, and it was here on the roundtable. When it was announced he was going to fight Valdez, and I was like, this is a gold medalist here. Like, this is not like some novice to boxing, and everybody was just convinced that Valdez was going to walk all over him. You know, like Valdez going to knock him out. It's going to be easy. Nobody knows who this dude is. He look at his level of opposition, but I was very cautious. I still picked Valdez to win, but I'll be honest, scoring that's a very difficult fight to score. And I feel like you could give it a Conceicao. It's not that far-fetched. The Valdez fight. The Shakur fight, of course, Shakur didn't even make weight. How much was that a factor? I'm not sure, but Shakur is just a completely different style to Navarrete anyway. Navarrete is not going to beat him that way. Navarrete needs to do his own thing. Everything Christine is saying is true. Navarrete does lunge in. He leads with uppercuts. He does everything wrong. Yet it looks so right. Like it just works for him for whatever reason. Like I just don't get it. And then once in a while, all of a sudden he'll be boxing fundamentally sound, and then he'll go back to it is so awkward to prepare for this guy that I've already reached a point where, like, okay, I guess he's gonna get caught lunging in eventually, but it hasn't happened, so I ain't gonna bet against this guy. I don't think Conceicao has ever seen anything like he's about to see. Where Navarrete has fought guys with good amateur pedigree, right? Like he has been in there with a Ruben Villa and knocked him down, and that was a close fight, right? But it works both ways. Ruben Villa was able to win a lot of those quiet rounds against Navarrete. People just forgot about them because of the knockdowns, and like Navarrete won the big noisy rounds. But can Conceicao emulate a little bit of what Ruben Villa did in those fights to win rounds? He can, right? So it's gonna be interesting. I think it's gonna be a little tougher than people think. I don't know if it's going to steal the show. I think Conceicao's going to fight very negative in this fight. I don't think he's going to look to engage. I think he's going to look to make the fight as uneventful as possible to frustrate Navarrete. I believe it's going to be his game plan. So, but it's still going to be intriguing to watch as a boxing fan. I got Navarrete winning this fight 8 rounds to 4.
Okay. So let's talk about the big news today, the press conference, December 23rd, the big super card. I'm hearing a lot of mixed reviews about this card. Some people are complaining, why isn't Joshua fighting Wilder? You know, there's a lot of big names on this card, but these aren't great fights. I'm going to disagree with that. I think this is a very, very solid card. I think with the exception of maybe one of the fights, Flip Hergovich versus Mark Demori, with all due respect to Demori, I'm not crazy about that fight, but I think the rest of the fights on the card are pretty solid. I think they're decent fights. I think Anthony Joshua versus Otto Wallin is a tough fight for Anthony Joshua. I think it's a very, very interesting fight. Deontay Wilder versus Parker, and Daniel Dubois versus Gerald Miller. It's a pretty solid card, and I haven't seen this many big names on one card in a long time. You can go back to the Don King days. He would put maybe 2 or 3 guys, like you'd have Chavez, Terry Norris, and maybe Julian Jackson and Gerald McClellan. That's like 4 guys. But here you got like 8, 10, 12 big names on the card together. So, Base, you were there. Tell me about the experience. Could you cut the tension with the knife? I did see Eddie Hearn and Frank Warren next to each other, and they were pretty cordial. They were smiling. I didn't see any discomfort between the two of them. Let me know how your thoughts on the whole thing.
Yeah, so I think money prevents discomfort from taking place, and there was a lot of money in the room. His Excellency Turkey Al Sheikh was there, so there wasn't going to be any, kerfuffling about, as far as I'm concerned, when all of that money is in the room. Although the thing that you may not have seen on the broadcast, I don't know if you guys saw it, but Eddie Hearn, when he got introduced by Dev Sani, he actually sat in the seat that AJ is supposed to sit in. And then Dev's like, actually, no, you're over there. And he looked at the name check. Oh, okay, realized I'm not at I'm not at the top of the table, kind of thing. And then he got almost, I guess, just kind of got relegated to the fighter's promoter, the same as Dimitri Salita, the same as Shelley Finkel. Whereas it was definitely Frank Warren and Dev Sani who were the 2 centers of the table. But outside of that, I mean, it was all pretty circumspect and pretty by the book, by the numbers, until it came time for Jerome Miller to speak, and he definitely did bring energy to the cards. I guess maybe you guys wouldn't have heard, but Derek Chisora was in the back, basically heckling every single person that was talking.
He was the guy that was yelling in the back. Then it was Chisora.
It was Derek Chisora.
Okay.
So every person that was talking, he was heckling, and I was front, like one of the front row people. So I couldn't really contain my laughter for half of the time. But yeah, when Jerome Miller started, that's when it got active, and obviously he just kind of let fire on several people, but namely Anthony Joshua and obviously Daniel Dubois. It was a good press conference. In terms of the actual fights, there's 4 good fights on there. The other 4, you might have a couple of big names, but they're nothing fights. Look, Joshua Varlin's a very good fight, very intriguing. Can Joshua deal with the awkward, slick move in southpaw? Who's obviously not as fleet-footed as Usyk, but bigger, probably carries more weight. You've got Deontay Wilder and Joseph Parker, who will more than likely be Deontay Wilder's toughest and best win if he actually gets the victory in that. That to me isn't a foregone conclusion. Jerome Miller and Daniel Dubois to me is probably the fight of the card, because it's the one that gives you the most intrigue as to how it's going to play out. All the others, you could have a comfortable A side and B side and favorite and underdog. That one, yeah, there's not that to me, it doesn't seem like there's as much of a favorite underdog. It definitely seems like it's either Jerome Miller's pressure is gonna break Daniel's spirit, or Daniel's power is gonna get to Jerome early. Then you've got Arsenal bet Makhmudov against Ajit Caballero. That's a fight whereby Caballero ain't got a prayer of like knocking him out, but he's got very good movement, which is something that Arsenal bet hasn't really had to deal much with. So that's a new facet for him to have to deal with. But we know that he's got that power that if he lands on Caballero, I don't think he can take it. Outside of that, all the other four matches are pretty much glorified sparring. Opataya against Zorro. And Zorro actually comes from the same ends as me, same area in London. He's actually my cousin's best friend, so it makes it a bit of a sticky situation. But I mean, look, I spoke to him earlier on today. I said, I'm giving you all the luck of the borough, but like this is gonna be a hard night's work, and he knows what he's in for. Dimitri Bivol and Lyndon Arthur. I would have preferred Richard Rivera, to be totally honest with you. I don't think. I mean, Arthur's, he's fairly solid, but I know they're going to try and bill it as champion versus champion, IBO versus WBA. But if you guys saw, Lyndon Arthur was limping all
I was going to
throughout
ask you
the
about
press.
that. Yeah,
Yeah,
going to ask you about that. What happened?
he's got some kind of injury. We don't know what it is. He said it's not that bad. I don't know if maybe he was, that sometimes maybe you jump and you sort of jar a bone and you might be for a couple of days and you might be all right. I don't know. He didn't elaborate as to where it was, but he was limping and he was in soft-soled slippers for the press conference. So that to me doesn't inspire me with confidence, especially being 6 weeks out. But you get that offer, you get that money, you're gonna take it. I don't have blame for him for that. Then we get to obviously Frank Sanchez and Junior Farr. Like stylistically, that might be interesting because it's going to give Frank Sanchez some things he's going to have to work out. Junior Farr can be very negative when he wants to be, but he's also could be a knockout waiting to happen also. But I feel like that fight's going to be the most boring fight on the card. I think if they need to put that fight first, if they don't put it first, then some people could be falling asleep before the main event, in my opinion. But Hrgovic and Mark Demori, that's I said it on my video earlier. That's a travesty of a fight. Hrgovic himself should be embarrassed to take that fight, and the IBF almost should. I feel like they should strip him of his mandatory spot for fighting someone that's not even in their rankings, let alone someone that's not in any rankings whatsoever. I can't remember him unless he's in the WBA ranking somewhere, like number 15 or something. But that to me is the worst fight on the card. And I can understand not wanting to take the hardest fights, but there's much more credible people that you could still win fairly comfortably against, but still make it, relatively competitive or a decent test, or at least having a decent name. But yeah, Mark Demori ain't it. And he even said in the press conference that he's going to let his hands go for 4 rounds and see what he can do. So he's only expecting to last 4 rounds at the max in this fight. So yeah, outside of that total travesty, the rest of it's pretty, it's pretty solid. There's
solid.
4 really good fights. And then the others are kind of like mismatches, but you can accept some of them for the circumstances.
Yeah. So did you hear any word on like the broadcaster or anything like that? Is it going to be similar to how the Fury and Ngannou fight was, where DAZN got some international rights, but the UK rights were, I think, TNT Sport and ESPN pay-per-view got the US broadcast? Have you heard anything? Because I know Eddie Hearn really didn't reveal much, but I'm sure maybe there could be some rumors floating around there that you may have known.
No, from what I heard, it's going to be on both the DAZN and TNT Sports box office. Now, I don't know if it's going to be the DAZN in both the UK and the US, as well as TNT, or if the DAZN is going to take the global rights and box office everywhere else, and TNT will take it in the UK. But that is what both broadcasters did say, that you can catch this fight on their retrospective box office platforms. So yeah, that's how so I can assume in your end it's probably going to be the DAZN instead of ESPN, because they've only got Makhmudov on the card and he's not a big enough name to really get them the license, I would think.
Do you think we'll have to pay pay-per-view for it on the DAZN?
It will definitely be. It will be the DAZN pay-per-view across the world, and it will be because Deontay Wilder's on there. So it's going to be pay-per-view in the US. It's going to be pay-per-view in the UK. It'll be pay-per-view everywhere else.
Gotcha. Who's going to be the main event? Is Joshua's fight going to be the main event, or is Wilder's
Well,
fight going
that's
to be the main event?
interesting. Joshua he was in all the pressings, he was seen as the headline. It said Joshua will be headlining the card, but him and Wilder, they've been put as co-mains, which obviously sometimes you do. Sometimes you have chief support and you have co-mains. So they've been put as a co-main, but Deontay Wilder, Joseph Parker was the last fight to be spoken about at the press
That's what I'm
conference.
saying. Yeah.
And Wilder was introduced after Joshua as well on several occasions. So I have to, at this point, imagine that Deontay Wilder is going to be the headline of the card.
And I think Frank Warren's like, for this event, I would assume is promoting Wilder for this event. He's like the promoter of Wilder in this event.
No, to be fair, like they obviously they're doing everything from an operational standpoint, but he's not promoting Wilder or Parker. He's his only fighters on there is Ellis Zorro and Daniel Dubois. That's it. Everyone else is either free agents or they're signed to Dimitri Salito Promotions, Matchroom, TGB, and Queensbury, and obviously one Top Rank. So he's they're facilitating the fight, but he doesn't have any of them as his guy, so to speak.
Understood. D-Style, what are your thoughts on this? Are you excited about this, or are you in the camp of, well, if Deontay Wilder and Joshua are on the same card, why aren't they fighting each other? What are your thoughts?
Well, it's both, right? So if you were to ask me, what would you prefer? It just be Joshua versus Wilder? Yes. Like, in fact, I don't know any fan that's going to say otherwise, unless you're lying to yourself. Like I could care less if they want to milk it. I could see a promoter saying this is better. I could see a manager saying this is better. I could see somebody in the business saying it or something. But as a fan, of course, I would prefer that. But at the end of the day, it doesn't mean this is bad. It doesn't mean I don't like it. I think Wallin AJ is a good fight. I actually like the Parker fight for Wilder. Wilder hasn't won a fight like in one fight in 4 years. I mean, come on. I mean, what are we doing? You know what I mean? Like what he's fought, and the one fight he won was like one round. So yeah, like I mean, I'm okay with this fight. We're gonna, we're gonna see how Wilder looks and whatnot. We're gonna see if how the scenery is gonna play out, right? Like, well, one thing that stood out to me looking at this card and just across the board, even though I agree a lot of the matches are like whatever, and I'm like, but I mean, how often do you see a Dimitri Bivol on the undercard of a card like this, and then you're going to see Opetaya on the undercard? You're going to see like I get those are not the fights we want, right? I get that, but I'm getting distracted with that thing in my face. But Fury will fall, Beebs. I'm coming for you. I'm sorry. But like we'll bring it up right now. Like, here's the thing. Look, all I know is this. The one thing that stood out to me is, my God, is this sport water itself down with the way we're spread apart with so many promoters and networks. Look how star-studded this thing was. Like, forget about the matches for a moment. So look at the fighters that were on those podiums, right? Taking questions, talking to each other, the back and forth between even fighters who are not fighting each other. That was very impressive to me. I look at that and I say, you know what? I want more of that. Like, that's reminding me of Don King. Like, you know what I mean? That's giving me Don King vibes, to be quite frank. And I liked it. So I like the fight. I like the event. There's no complaints from me. That's for sure.
Okay, I'm going to read this because Ring needs me to read this for him, and I want to give him the satisfaction of reading this. Fury will fall, Beebs. I'm coming for you. Ring, I'm going to make a statement right now. I know you do the late night boxing talks. So if Usyk wins this fight, I will drink a couple cappuccinos so I can stay up late, because I fall asleep before those late night boxing talks go on, because I'm kind of getting old and I have a hard time staying up sometimes. I'll drink a couple cappuccinos, and if Usyk wins, if there's some miracle that Usyk wins that fight, if it's some miracle that Usyk wins that fight, I will make an appearance on the Ring Boxing Talks, and I will shove a pie right in my face in front of all of your audience. But if Fury wins, all I need you to say is Fury is the best of his era. He lost his all-time great status because of what happened with Ngannou, but with the win over Usyk, he could still be the best of his era. Right, Base? You'll never give it to him, Base. You'll never give him the best of his era, even if he beats Usyk twice.
No. I would concede to it. He hasn't. I still feel like he would have needed to do more, but based on the track record of this era, I would say fine. He has that title. He is the number one. I'd give you that.
I try to tell people, and this is just my opinion, you can agree or disagree, like the era is just not great. Like it's not the era of the 70s. It's not the era of the 90s. And I have to give Joshua credit. Like he has been consistent. He's fought a lot of solid guys. I always said though, but Fury's greatest wins, in my opinion, were better than Joshua's greatest wins at the time that he had those fights. Like when I remember when Fury fought Klitschko, he was like a 4.5, 5-1 underdog. And I told people he was going to win the fight. And everyone's like, oh, no, you're crazy. You're crazy. He's going to get destroyed. He's going to get knocked out. You know, so timing is everything. And then when he came back and fought Wilder, I said, oh, even at 70%, I still think he's got enough skills to beat Wilder. And I picked him both times in the first fight and the second fight when everyone said he was going to lose both those fights. So, you know, I just think that
you got 2 more, by the way, just so you know.
He has a standout win. You know what I mean? I think he has the standout wins, but like I said, he said, don't ignore me, Beebs. I want your soul. You cannot have my blood, Ring. And he said, by Odin's prostate, Usyk will win. Okay. All right. Not a problem. Yeah. So Christine, I'm sorry for being long-winded.
No, you're good. I love speaking of Fury, and I love hearing about Fury because, you know, I'm right there with you. I should have wore a Fury t-shirt.
I have 2 Fury t-shirts, man. I'm the president of the Furymaniacs.
You got to send me one so I can wash my car. I'm going to get back from the mechanic.
D-style, silence D-style. All right.
You know, I had some things going on today, so I only caught, you know, little bits and pieces of the press conference today. But, you know, something that I was thinking about, you know, looking at Joshua just sitting there, I was like, what's going through his mind? Like, do I have a home? Do I have a trainer? Who's going to train me for this? What am I going to do? It was like all these things, like all these narratives that I'm thinking in my head. It's just like the look on his face. And he didn't have the look of confidence or certainty to me. And then you look at Wilder and I'm thinking, is he thinking, why am I, you know, on the undercard? You know, why am I the co-main event? Because I assumed that he's co-main event. Maybe he's not. I don't know. I assumed that. So those were things that I was tuning into, and I did not realize that that Miller was on this card too. And I'm thinking, what the fuck, you know?
Well, you need a pharmacy, you know.
What the fuck, you know? I mean, it's like, I don't know. So like I said, funny narratives were going on in my head. I'm gonna go back and watch it. I'm excited about it. I'm excited about the card. I am. I want to see, you know, what Joshua's going to do. I want to see what Wilder's going to do. So I'm excited. And there's some other great guys on the card too. I need to, like I said, go back because I didn't get to watch it. But it's a good thing. It's a good thing.
I want to say this about Miller really quick. Just really quick.
Go ahead.
So Miller, I mean, he's got a good bark and all. Like, I'll give him that. Like,
for sure. Always has.
Yeah, he's talking all this, like this and that, and AJ, I'm gonna do this to you and send you to the hospital or whatever the hell he was saying. Bro, you had your shot. Like you got busted, bro. Like you missed out on your opportunity.
Right.
And I'm kind of surprised AJ didn't throw it in his face. If he did, I didn't see it. from
You
the
know,
highlights.
I'm going to tell you what I kind of saw from AJ when Wilder was talking and they asked him about the blessing and the curse. AJ was like waiting. He's like, I hope he says something because he was ready to bark and bite back at Wilder. Like he was hoping that Wilder was gonna say, oh, like that he was one of the guys that avoided him, but he didn't do that. But I have a theory on what I saw. You tell me if I'm wrong here. I think Joshua and I think a lot of the other fighters as well, but Joshua kind of looked, I think, a little bit uncomfortable because this was a kind of a different setting for him. He's not used to having someone else other than Eddie Hearn run the show. And he kind of looked a little bit out of sorts. And I thought the rest of the fighters kind of looked a lot, with the exception of Big Baby Miller, I thought a lot of the other fighters, this was like uncharted territory for them. So they kind of were like a little bit like taken aback by the whole thing because they weren't used to it. Did you get that feel or am I off base with that?
No, you're right to a degree. It was one of those situations where even though all of the familiar people are around you, this whole event itself it's different. It's being broadcast to kind of a different market. It's a little bit different in overall feel. Because even the Joshua's fights that he done in Saudi, they were a bit more. He looked a similar way. Like, okay, this isn't the normal UK conference or whatever. And obviously, I guess with Joshua, the difference between him and everyone else is, while you've got Miller saying, "Oh, you aren't like Deontay either," like he's a clear adversary for AJ. Deontay is a clear adversary for AJ. AJ sitting versus basically next to Joseph Parker, who he's already fought before. Like Otto Wallin, he's the adversary. Filip Hrgović, who's now got the IBF mandatory, who he probably wants to fight next. So there's a lot of ops on this table for him, more so than anyone else that was on the table.
I agree.
And to me, when I was there, the atmosphere and the look I just got was AJ was just he was zoned in. He was ready he's basically ready for action. And he went and trained afterwards. And if you see him doing the pads with Ben Davidson afterwards, like you can see that he was driving those shots different than what he normally does. So I think he wants to make a statement, and I think all the people that was on that table have almost spurred him on to say, all right, if you guys really think that I'm slipping and none of you ain't even been to my level yet, watch what happens. That's what I kind of got. And he even kind of said that to Otto Volume. He said, yeah, I think he peaked in 2018. He goes, these men talking about my peak and they ain't never had one. I was like, yeah, he's ready. He when he came with the slip talk, I knew AJ was in that mode. So it'd be interesting.
He was hoping that Wilder, he had that look like when Wilder was like explaining himself. He had that look like, I hope he says something so I can just go at him, because he looked like he wanted to go at Wilder. He had that look.
Wilder, but Wilder is very much like, Wilder will say a lot of things away, but then when he's kind of in your face, unless you're like Dominic Brazil, he does seem to get a lot more, it's all love, brother, like wish you nothing. But that's how he kind of seems when he's in someone's presence, but then when he's out away from them, he's a bit more animated. That's just what it looks like. Maybe that's because it's now and it's not closer to fight week, but that's kind of how he seems to be, that Jekyll and Hyde type character.
Okay. Ring IQ, thank you so much with the $5 super chat. He said Joshua was ready to fight Big Gravy. Big Gravy is great for boxing. Oh, I like how he did that.
I do hope really quick. I hope Dubois gets that W. The way he's talking to you, bro, you gotta take care of business. I'm just saying. I did see Warren like come on, Daniel, you can't let him do that, like, or whatever the hell he was saying.
Yeah, he's trying to spur him on. So, Dave, let's go to you on this one, man. Did you get a chance to see this press conference today for the fight, the big card, December 23rd? And what are your thoughts overall on this card? Is this something that you would buy on pay-per-view?
I'm going to watch it one way or another, Beeb. You know that. I didn't get to see the press conference.
I don't want to put you on the spot with the pay.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely going to watch it. I'm happy. You know what? There's a silver lining to what's going on with Saudi Arabia becoming this mega sports force, right? And that's that they're putting together fights and they've got the budget that they don't care. They're not like these networks that are trying to decide whether or not they should pick PBC up and whether it'll be profitable or not. They're not answering to stockholders and whatnot. They're just going to do what they want to do. And if they've got the budget to put on these mega heavyweight fights the way they're doing, I'm all for it. you know, I'm all for it, especially if we're going to get the fights in the heavyweight division we want to see, which now we see Usyk and Tyson Fury is going to happen in February in Saudi Arabia. I'm very pleased about that. Now, this fight right before Christmas, I like it. I like it. Too bad that the co-main and the main event aren't actually fighting each other. I'd love to see Anthony Joshua and Wilder, but Wilder being out of the ring and as inactive as he is, he definitely needs a tune-up, and it doesn't seem like he's going to get an easy one here. As far as this Anthony Joshua switching trainers again, the man's broken. The guy was broken by Andy Ruiz years back, and he's never recovered mentally. Whether he's gone to all these sports therapists or whatnot, he does not like to engage in a firefight. He does not like to get hit. And Wallin, he's fighting Wallin, right?
Yes.
We were all shocked what Wallin did to Tyson Fury during the pandemic here in Las Vegas, where what was that? And basically there was nobody there but TV people, right? Otto Wallin is a dangerous guy, and he's exactly the kind of guy
there
that
wasn't
I think
people there because he didn't sell that many tickets. It wasn't.
Yeah,
it wasn't a bubble.
It wasn't
I
that
just want
bubble.
to put that out there. It wasn't a bubble.
He's a dangerous guy. Wallin is very dangerous, and he's exactly the kind of guy that could play spoiler once again for Anthony Joshua and play spoiler for this potential fight between Joshua and Wilder. So I don't think changing trainers will ever resolve his issue he has, which I think is 100% mental.
Yeah, it wasn't the just really quick. It wasn't a bubble because the bubble happened after the rematch with Wilder.
I just want to say, with regards to the change in trainers thing, so the situation from how I've heard it is basically he was overtraining with Derek James, but when this opportunity's come up, I think Derek has got other commitments, and AJ, I don't think he wants to be too far away from the time zone because obviously it's happening in 6 weeks. And I think that's a situation whereby Derek is obviously focusing on Ryan Garcia on the second, and that might not have left enough time to deal with. So because he's been ticking over with Ben Davidson every time he comes back to the UK, he said, all right, you just do the corner for this one because you're here, and then I go back to Derek for the next fight moving forward.
Big trainer issues.
Yeah.
I heard that too. But let me ask you this real quick, Base. Like, what happens? Like, just let's just speak hypotheticals here. So say he has this camp with Ben Davidson, then he has the performance of a lifetime, and then if you're him, you're saying to yourself, "Wow, man! Like, me and Ben just clicked, right?" Is there a chance that he may say, "Why should I even go back to Derek? This was just such a great camp with Ben. I enjoyed it." I mean, what are your thoughts on that? Is that's a possibility as well? He may.
I mean, it is. No, it is a possibility. But with that being said, from what Eddie Hearn said, and obviously I can't equate as to how true this is, but he said that he has been working behind the scenes with Ben for the last few camps, or for the last year and a bit, ever since he's been in the UK. So whenever he's over here, because that's the closest gym to him, he goes there, does some work with him. But then his main camp, or when he's coming back over to Texas, he's with Derek. So you might then say, okay, well, yeah, I want to be, I enjoy being with Ben in the camp, but then his whole thing of moving away from the media obligations, the commitments, going to a different environment and soaking up different energy. So for him to come back to the UK, to basically come back into the media circus, and now to get even more scrutiny because you're with the person that Tyson Fury used to be with, so you're going to get commented and questioned about that every single day as well. That might be counterproductive to what he's ultimately been doing, whereas he's been keeping his head clear in the States. So personally, it can happen, but I don't see it being a smart choice. And I agree. One thing I do agree with Jerome Miller is he does need to get back out to the US and start having some fights over there and win some fights, because the narrative of him, going over there, getting his ass kicked and then never returning is crazy. He kind of needs to rewrite that narrative at this point.
But here's another thing too, Base, and I always try to have this discussion with people. When people say, oh, well, a fighter doesn't have to go to the United States, but when Fury did come over here, he did do some decent pay-per-view buys, and you have to factor in the price point. So even like Fury did like 850,000 pay-per-view buys with Wilder, but that's at $85 a pop, right? So even if Joshua, like again, I'm not trying to be, count his pockets or play businessman, but you're always going to do those big numbers in the UK, right? Even if you come over here and you do some pay-per-view over here, even if you do like 200,000, 300,000, that's $80 a pop. That's still some substantial dough on top of what you're going to do in the UK. So I've always argued, like, and Lennox came over, Ricky came over. It's not like I'm saying that this market is like the boxing scene over here is like way better than the UK, but it's just the economy is like 8 times the size of the UK of Great Britain's economy. So it's like that's why Eddie's over here. It's just it's a no-brainer when it comes to the numbers.
No, I hear what you're saying, but I think the difference between that is you have to remember that fight between Wilder and Fury, the second one, they did 850,000, and the fight still lost money. None of them got.
Who lost money? Who lost money?
The broadcasters did, like the companies. They got guarantees. They never got any upside on those pay-per-view buys, which is normally what you go into pay-per-view for. You have your guarantee and you have upside. They both got their guarantees, but they were so high they didn't get any upside. So that same money that they get for that.
Though I heard differently on that.
This is what I've heard from several parties. But what I'm going to say is that same money that they got as their guarantees, that was AJ's guarantee money a lot of the time before pay-per-views in the UK. So for him, it's the same level of money.
But that year, Fury was higher on the Forbes list. Like Fury made more money than AJ that year. Because of those.
I remember that, but that wasn't because of just that. That was also to do with his WWE appearance. And the way it worked out, AJ had 1 fight counted in that particular calendar year, and Fury had 2 plus the WWE thing. That's how we ended up making more. But AJ's 1 fight was like 2/3 of what Fury had made. So
because what happened with that base? Bruce Trampler put that out there, and I think D-Style he said that on one the interview that we did with him about that fight losing money. But he's a matchmaker, and the guy that would know if a fight's losing money or not is Brad Jacobs, is the financial guy over there. He's the COO. So I don't know, man.
Well, Bob Arum has still said to this day he hasn't made his money back on Fury. That's what he said about 3-4 months ago. He hasn't made his money back yet. So that would make me believe that neither that fight nor the second nor the third Wilder fight made money. That or got him back to a zero. Well,
the broadcaster lost money, not Bob Arum and not Fury. I mean, like. They're playing with
but Bob also wouldn't have made money if the broadcaster don't make money. He don't make money either as a promoter.
It's not how it works, base. Is
it different over there? Okay.
They get guaranteed money from the network. So Bob's not using his own money. He's using ESPN's money. Eddie's not using his own money. He's using the Zone's money. Same thing with So these guys,
but they have a guarantee, and then they play the rest of it based on the pay-per-view. They give them an upfront, and then everything else you have to.
So this is a situation where like nobody's wrong. It's just perspective, right?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, if I guess Base's argument is Fury was not generating the money to justify what he was getting paid. Is that what it's arguing?
Well, I heard the guarantees were only like $4 and $5 million for that second fight.
Not the second one. No. The second one, it was 30 million a piece. It was 4.
No, that's not what the guarantees were based.
No, it was 4 and 3 for their first fight, and then it was 10 and 15 for their third. There was 30 million a piece for the second one. That was the guarantees that they had.
You may want to check that because
I've checked it.
The guarantees weren't that high, bro.
What I'll say is this. If anyone's willing to foot the bill, it is Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
And they're footing the bill here. That's a lot of names. I don't know how much money they're going to be spending, but Jesus Christ.
I guess at the end of the day, when people say like money was lost, the broadcaster is the one losing the money. The promoter and the fighters aren't losing money. So like Eddie Hearn, he's playing with house money. Bob Arum's playing with house money. I mean, Bob Arum got $100 million from ESPN. Now, if ESPN didn't get a return on their investment, then that's ESPN's. That's Disney's problem. It's not Bob Arum's problem. It's not Tyson Fury's problem. You know?
Well, he's given a budget to play with. I think you're talking about the budget.
Yeah.
But he still has to like allocate that money to make these fights.
Ring IQ is such a troll.
They give him a budget and they give him the date, right? So,
I mean, I don't know. It was the second highest grossing heavyweight fight in Las Vegas history. So, I don't know. I thought it was a big fight.
But I do want to make this quick point. So, as far as fighters coming to America, look, I do think that's slowly changing. I think we're reaching a point where the whole like, oh, anyway, has to come to America. Not really. He does. Neither does AJ, quite frankly.
No, I think AJ does for his psyche and his narrative. It's not about having to come and cut, but it's like you've only been there one time and you got knocked out. Like, come back to just change the narrative, and then you can do whatever you want afterwards. That's the thing for AJ.
Well, from
as far as making money, I mean, he's still all these guys are making retarded amount of money. I mean, they're making crazy money.
From
But
a monetary standpoint, AJ probably doesn't have to come to the United States if Saudi is going to foot the bill for a lot of these fights. But the upside to it is there will be U.S. pay. I guess my point is, why not grab the U.S. pay-per-view market on top of the UK pay-per-view?
So just to finish my point, when Lennox did it, this was a very popular sport in the United States, right? That's the big difference, is what I'm trying to say.
And you didn't have the platforms. You didn't have the digital platforms either.
Yeah, like the times are changed dramatically. However, it's case by case. So it like if you look at Tim Tszyu, like they want to come to America and they feel they're going to make more money in America. And one might say, why? I mean, you're a big star in Australia. Well, they've already conditioned the Australians to buy pay-per-view for Tim Tszyu on Sunday afternoon over there. So when he fights Saturday night over here, right, they could still put it on pay-per-view in Australia, right? So they're still going to get that money. But I think, to your point, Beeb, it's a big economy here, and he wants to expand, you know, like the money he can make.
Yeah. But, you know, it is what it is. Those fights in Saudi, they're not making money either. It's basically PR. It's basically, you know, they you know, so like I said, the promoters and the fighters are making out like bandits.
Yeah,
they're playing with house money, man.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to the next one. Big news. Now, is this correct, Base? Is this going to be announced tomorrow, Thursday? The Tyson Fury Oleksandr Usyk fight. February 17th?
The press conference is tomorrow. 6
tomorrow,
p.m.
Right?
Yeah.
Same place?
No, it's not at the OVO. It's at the Alternate in Charing Cross.
Okay.
So it's the place that they had the first Ngannou versus Fury press conference. That same place.
Got you. So D-Style, you know, this is a new date. Both fighters are going to have more time to get ready. Do you think that because of this, we're going to get the best version of both of these fighters? And you think at the end of the day, it's better that this is happening on February 17th instead of December 23rd, because then we won't have to hear the excuses of, you know, this guy wasn't ready, that guy wasn't ready.
I'm big on when someone says they're going to do something, that they do it. Tyson Fury was running his mouth. That's what he was doing, saying, "Oh, he's going to fight me on the 23rd, or we're going to take him to court, or you're going to see my lawyer." Like he failed. Your dude failed. He failed against an MMA fighter.
Whoa! Okay,
he failed to do the commitment against Usyk.
Whoa!
He embarrassed the sport. He's an embarrassment of a world champion. I'm just keeping it real, all right? And the other thing I'll say about Tyson Fury is it's not like I think, you know, you made Usyk, you know, that you're going to fight on the 23rd. I think he should have honored the commitment. I think that's what he should have done. The fight with Ngannou was not a war. Okay, they weren't going back and forth. Yeah, he got knocked down, but he didn't look hurt when he got it. He looked embarrassed, but he didn't look hurt. He had a black eye, but like a little cute black eye. But it's not. He didn't take like devastating damage in his fight. So it's actually more embarrassing that he's gonna wait till February, because then you got MMA fans saying, "Oh, Ngannou beat him up so bad that he needs to recover. He's not gonna be ready." That's what they're saying. The dude, he's an embarrassment to the sport. He should have honored his word. He should have fought Usyk on the date that he said. But I know the real reason it's going to be postponed, because he realized he got a big wake up call in that fight. He realized he's too fucking fat. He's too out of shape. Okay?
Oh,
that's
what
the
is
truth.
this? Fat shaming.
Ay, hombre.
The
can't
dude is
fat
walking
shame like
around.
that.
Look, he's walking around with balloons on his back. Okay,
Oh, this
as the
man
heavyweight
is coming
champion of the
for
world.
you.
You are crossing that red line, son.
I just don't understand. This guy made Andy Ruiz look healthy, bro. I don't understand what the hell is going on. All right, he's out of shape, and he realized, oh fuck. And then we got Frank Warren. I'm not going to let him fight. I'm not going to let him fight Usyk with just a 6-week training camp. You were going to let him fight Usyk with just a 6-week training camp, and then you saw his body. All right. And you didn't think anything of it before the Ngannou fight. Then you realized that it was huffing and puffing after the 3rd round. He was tired in the middle of that fight. You're the heavyweight champion of the world. And it's not like it was this fight where both guys were just throwing unlimited punches. It was a very low volume fight.
It was.
And you're tired? What the? I mean, that's what's going on here. So if you want me to be honest, I think he should have taken his ass whooping on December 23rd, to be quite frank. If you want me to be honest with you. I'm not in this camp that, this fight, I'm more intrigued by it because now people are going to believe that Fury has a shot, and I'm big on people being men of their word. He wasn't a man of his word. That's the truth. Okay.
Ay, hombre.
And you made Usyk wait. Okay. You almost gave Usyk a heart attack because you almost got knocked out. Okay. Okay. And then you had him in his field. All right. So to answer your question, I'm glad the fight's happening. But it's lost luster thanks to Fury.
No, you're not.
Thanks to
I
Fury,
can't
the whole
tell.
thing
No, you're not. You don't
luster.
sound happy. You don't sound happy right now.
I'm thrilled. I'm ecstatic. Okay.
I
You know, you
like
could tell. You could tell when I'm
Santa Claus
lying.
doesn't exist.
You can't tell when Fury's lying. Like, you can tell, like what's going on over here. The dude's been capping for years. All right, and I wish he didn't get up from the knockdown in that first fight against Wild. I wish he would have stayed right there, right in the canvas. I wish he never got back up. All right. I wish he would have stayed right there. You know what? I agree with the LDBC. I wish the ref would have just waved it off and just called it. That's it. Put it over. Okay. I wish that, you know what? I agree now. It was a knockout. He should have been knocked out. That's it. I changed my mind. He should have been knocked out.
One thing I have to say to kind of support your case, Spencer Brown was being interviewed. He was adamant about the fight going ahead on September 23rd. Fury did come out and say if Usyk doesn't fight on December 23rd, then he's going to get sued. Like he did dig his own grave with this one. We've got to be honest. I know the Fury maniacs, they yell at me when I tell the truth about this, but I have to tell the truth. He did load the gun for people to shoot at him with the ammunition. He gave people the ammunition to take shots at him.
I wish when he uppercutted himself, I wish he would have knocked himself out.
You're really everything. I may have to suspend you for this one, but yeah. So they did kind of set themselves up for this one. So I do get the backlash. I do get the criticism. Now, Christine, do you want to kind of respond to that? You want to respond to that blasphemy?
I'm going to pray over him tonight because he's an angry man, and I want him to be able to sleep tonight. You know, I talked about this before. I really believe that Fury did not take the Ngannou fight seriously. He didn't. You know, he thought he was going to go in there and just sweep him, and it didn't go out like that or whatever. But I'm super happy about February. The fight going on there because we're going to see the best of Tyson Fury. We're going to see the best of Usyk, and everybody who's a hater of Fury is going to be shut up that day. I love Usyk. Like I mean, he is like my second favorite next to Fury. I think that he is going to give him a hell of a fight, but Fury always finds a way, you know, and I believe that he will have his hand raised on that day. And yeah, he does some crazy shit. He does. You know, but that's part of the luster for me. That's part of the excitement and entertainment.
We like to ride on the edge, Christine. You and I.
Absolutely.
We don't like these vanilla people, these goody two shoes, perfect people who do everything the right way. We go against the grain. Well, not
Absolutely.
like cookie cutter D styles.
Yeah, and ride alone if need be. Ride alone if need be. It's all good. You know, I get a lot of shit, you know, for being a Fury lover, you know, but hey, it is what it is. And I'm still
y'all coming off like the alley setbacks for Fury right now.
Oh,
don't ever call me alley ball back. Don't ever compare me to alley ball back.
Christine,
that's an insult right there.
No, Christine, all I want to say, and you know I love you, but just remember how this worked out for you, Errol Spence. You might want to rethink it. That's all I'm saying.
No. Hold on, though.
No, she was Team Crawford for sure.
Hold on,
she had Crawford.
I had Crawford, and you were talking about somebody was limping at the press conference. If y'all would have paid attention, Errol Spence was also limping at the press conference between him and Crawford, and we know what happened there.
He was limping in the all access. He was limping in the all access when he was doing the jogging.
Exactly.
Didn't look right.
Yes, I love Spence. Yes, I'm Texas, but Crawford's my dude.
Look, you both got to keep it real. If he comes in that condition, that out of shape again, you know Usyk's going to beat him.
He's not going to, though. He's not.
I'm going to be honest with you. I will not be happy seeing him be above 265 for the Usyk fight. I don't like him close to 280. I don't like him at 277. I don't like him at that.
Yeah. So, I agree.
Yeah, so I would agree, D-Style. Yeah, if he comes in at 277, it's not going to be a good look for him.
Yeah, I'm gonna turn my phone off so you can't text. So y'all can't talk shit.
Yeah.
Don't worry, those WhatsApp messages will be right there waiting for you when you turn it back on.
Right.
All right. Shout out to Don Chile. He says Fury needs that boar meat rematch. Ngannou done. Okay. Dave, I don't know where you stand on this or where you stood on this before the Ngannou fight, but now that this fight is announced, it's set for February 17th. These guys have more time to get ready. Fury's got more time to get ready. Before you go, let me just read the super chat real quick. According to the Nevada State Athletic Commission, Fury and Wilder had a guaranteed purse of $5 million. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say that. But all right, in the first fight there was 4-3, and the second one there was 5-5. All right, Ring IQ says Fury's gonna lose everybody. I'm not sorry. Okay, all right, I'm sorry. Dave, so now with the new date, has your opinion changed on this fight at all? And do you think it's better that they pushed it back to February 17th?
Well, shoot, I think it's a lot better for Tyson Fury. We all saw that crappy performance. And D-Styles is right on the money. And all of you guys are on the money about the weight, because the whole Netflix special he filmed and whatnot, he obviously didn't take Ngannou. Obviously, this was the worst Fury we've ever seen. And there's no way he's ready to fight Usyk. He's had trouble his entire career against smaller guys, almost got beat by Cunningham. Wallin is a particularly nimble and agile, smaller heavyweight. And he's probably going to get laced up in December had he fought Usyk as originally planned. He absolutely looks awful at that fighting weight. And this is basically just more time, buying him time for a fat camp. And even then, now I'm more convinced now than ever that I don't know if he does beat Usyk. I'm not convinced yet that he can beat Usyk, because he's had problems with smaller, more agile fighters. And I don't even know if the extra time allotted, if he'll use that time wisely, because we've seen him do things. We've seen the evidence that sometimes he seems to think he can beat people on a bad day. Maybe he thinks he can beat Usyk at 280 pounds. Maybe he thinks he could take his camp for Usyk lightly and take an extra 2 or 3 weeks to chill out and relax and enjoy the holidays, right? Maybe that's what he's going to do with his extra time. But there's no guarantees coming in shape in February. I do like the date being moved, guys, because look, it's right after Super Bowl. People are getting together for Super Bowl. And now it's not crowded, where we had 2 undisputed fights. We've got the Tapales and Inoue fight coming up in December. Now we can just focus on that one and start 2024 off with a bang with the heavyweight undisputed championship. I like the date moved. I'm not sold on Tyson Fury coming in shape for this event.
You think he's going to come back and out of shape again, Dave?
I think it's entirely possible that he'll use the extra time to just chill out and take his time, spend it with his family, spend it with his friends. I don't think there's any guarantee that using the extra time, he's going to come in the best shape of his life. I really don't. I
The
think
holidays
there's
are coming. Thanksgiving, Christmas. all
yeah, the
that
holiday
bacon.
people. How can you resist all the good food around the holidays?
I don't
And he
think he
didn't take Ngannou
celebrates
seriously.
Thanksgiving. I'm just
Oh, right,
saying.
right.
I think that
Fury
might
probably
be
does. Like
an
Fury,
American holiday.
food. I'll eat it.
Base, they don't have Thanksgiving in Great Britain, do they?
No.
No.
What's up with the cap, D style? Come on.
No, I
mean-
didn't say that Thanksgiving.
Right.
I said he's gonna celebrate it anyway. Is what I said. Because it's food.
Won't do that, D style. Come on. Stop.
He's
Well,
a
no, to
family
be
guy.
fair, Shane Fury did say that that's their biggest kryptonite is they can't stop eating. Shane Fury said that on a Coogan Cassius podcast.
Yeah, like
So-
his words, right? He ate his own words about the 23rd day. You know what I mean? He just
There
eats
you go.
everything.
Yeah, I hope for Fury's sake he's shaking off the rust because his timing was awful. His accuracy was the worst I've ever seen. And I hope that at least fighting Ngannou and escaping with this narrow victory is what will wake him up. Will wake him up because he could very well lose this undisputed title to Usyk.
Christine, there's going to be a lot of people eating crow
They
come
are.
February 22nd, man. There's
Yep.
going to be a lot of them. A lot of them.
I'm gonna have some salt for them too. So they
I'm
can
going to
get
let
it
them
down.
all know.
February 18th, because it's on the 17th.
Oh, I'm sorry. Why did I say 22nd? That's right. February 17th,
17th,
February 8th.
Yeah.
Why did I have that in my head? I'm thinking of, I don't know. Thank you, Base. That's why
You're
I always
making
have
up
Base
dates
here.
now.
Man.
I don't
Base
know,
is my fact checker. All right.
Yeah.
So, Base, you going to this one tomorrow too?
Yep, I'll be there.
Nice,
Fury-
nice. I'm jealous.
Are both Fury and Usyk gonna? Is everyone gonna be there? Is everyone set to go? Or
Oh, they'll definitely be there. It's
Okay.
Saudi. Saudi, you don't turn down Saudi. They're not just going to have an announcement. It's a press conference.
okay.
So it will be those two. They might even have some of the undercard fighters announced as well. Martin Bacodi's supposed to be on that, and possibly Fabio Wardley too.
Okay.
That's the rumors.
So, what do you think of the new date? Do you think it helps or hurts Tyson Fury? And Usyk seems like he was already ready, anyways. But here's the thing: now Usyk was kind of in camp. He was ready to go on the 23rd, and now he has stops. Now he's going to start back up again. That can kind of disrupt things for him. How do you think this serves both men? Positives and
That's to me.
negatives. That's to you.
Okay. So the positive is I heard that Usyk did have not injuries, but he had a couple of niggles that he was basically managing. So this would allow him to sort of taper back and tail off and just sort of, take a couple of weeks rest. Ultimately for him, his camps apparently they've all in like 3 stages. One is very intensive like conditioning, sort of like first 4 to 6 weeks. Then it's regular sparring, then very hard sparring towards the end. That's supposedly how his thing works, and that's normally what happens when he's not been in the ring for a long period of time. But because he was in the ring just a few months back, he's already halfway through that journey anyway. So everything is just tailored towards making that date. But to be totally honest, I never believed that the December 23rd was actual to begin with. I always thought it was going to happen in February. So I wouldn't be surprised if Usyk, even though he was saying, okay, if I really have to be, I can get there in 6 weeks, but I know that my camp is being tailored specifically for this time frame. So for him, I think it's just business as usual. It gives Fury a lot more time to obviously get himself in shape. But what it also does is it gives Fury another 2.5, 3 months on those legs, which by the looks of things are not in the same shape they used to be, having to carry around a lot more unevenly distributed weight than they were doing before. Plus you have the holidays, as D-Star said. Now maybe he might not go over to the US for Thanksgiving, but he's gonna definitely he'll overindulge at Christmas. He definitely will, because that's just what they do in the family. We've been told that's just how they are. You can see all of them, none of them are body conscious apart from maybe Tommy. So realistically, they're gonna overindulge. He's gonna have to do all the extra road work. He's gonna be, running on those legs, the same legs that we saw that looked a bit shop worn. So it's just extra time to have to train on the frame, which isn't in the greatest of shape. So it could work both ways. He might lose some weight, but he could do just more wear and tear to his body. From all intents and purposes, things I've heard, he's got certain injuries now that are like they're not going away just because of due to his body construct, lifestyle, his height, and everything. So, and he's not managing the training any differently to sort of counteract and correct him. So yeah, it could do more harm, but ultimately it could give him more chance to work on a game plan.
I will say one thing, because I've heard a lot of people talk about his legs, and one thing that will destroy your legs is being heavy, because that just wears down the cartilage in your knees, and your ankles have to absorb a lot of that shock from running and carrying that weight, and it's not really great to. Like I said, I wasn't a fan of him, going up to 277 a couple times. I liked him when he was 260, 256. Those were good weights for him, and I think that's the Dillian White fight where he looked great, 264, right around there is perfect. You want to get up to 277? That's not when you get older. You're 30, 35 years old. It's not good on the body, bro. It's not good on the joints, the bones, nothing. So you could be right. Again, he's come back before, but you can only do it you can only go to the well so many times, and time will tell. He's got a lot of questions to answer.
He came back as a younger man. He's not.
That's right. That's right. So he's got a lot of. These are all great points. He's got a lot of questions to answer. So it's going to be very interesting on February 17th. So we'll see. I know we talked about this base. You mentioned it, and we talked about the trainer change, but kind of want to get everyone's opinion. Do you think this is good, bad? What does Ben Davidson bring to the table for AJ? How will he improve AJ, if at all? Christine, what are your thoughts on Ben Davidson training AJ and the frequent trainer change as of late for AJ? Is this good, bad, or are you indifferent?
I think Ben Davidson is a great trainer. I mean, he's proven, and I'm really a big fan of his. I was always kind of unclear why AJ even came to Texas. Not that welcome, yeehaw, but I was kind of confused about that, and I just thought, okay, well, he has Errol Spence, who was the champion at the time, and so that the only draw. So I've always been, like I said, confused about it, like why he even left, and it makes a lot of sense for him to stay there and get his training on a daily basis with Ben, and then just coming, I guess, here for camp or whatever. But to me, that's a lot of money and a lot of back and forth. It's kind of, it wears you down. I mean, the time difference and the jet lag and everything, is it really worth it? Like, is he really getting so much here that he couldn't get there to warrant coming back and forth? It's puzzling to me. I think Ben is a great trainer, and I do wonder why he doesn't just stay there and train with him.
So, Base, D-Style and I, we had a pretty interesting conversation about this and talked about Ben Davidson. And from what I've seen, and I think D-Style agreed with me, I don't want to put words in his mouth, but Ben Davidson is more of a defensive coach, and we kind of saw that with Tyson Fury a little bit, where in the Wilder fight, he was more of the counter puncher. He wasn't coming forward as much. He wasn't as engaging as much. Is that the type of trainer that AJ needs? Do you think that will have a negative impact? Do you think AJ will be even more defensive with Ben, or do you think that Ben could maybe spark that offensive meanness in AJ, that aggressiveness back in him? What do you think?
Well, Ben definitely isn't an aggressive trainer. He's not the guy that's going to tell you to go hunting for your opponent. But I think what Ben does that AJ is going to like is Ben is very cerebral. He's almost very analytical with how he gives his pointers in the corner. And I think AJ likes that because he likes to think of himself as a boxer, just like sort of this thinking strategist. So he wants someone that's going to give him a complex equation to have to decipher in that minute rest in the corner to go out and execute. But I think the one thing that Ben will do is I feel like he'll get AJ firing off the defense a lot more than maybe he was previously. Say it's not, rather than just sort of tucking up and then trying to reset, he might get him to a position where he doesn't have to tuck up, because he can put himself in a range whereby that shot isn't going to land, or it's just about might be at the very, very end of it where he can then come back, especially as he likes doing pull counters and stuff these days. So I think the defensiveness won't affect him too much. I think if you're going to look at sort of a coach for him in how he wants to fight, and especially in this hit and not get hit, definite mantra, Ben Davidson is probably a better person. But one thing Ben doesn't seem to be able to do is he doesn't seem to be able to train someone to fight southpaws, whether his fighters are southpaw or they're orthodox. He always ends up getting someone caught by like normally it's an overhand left. It's the same thing that happened to Lee Wood in the fight with Mick Conlan. He was getting caught with the same shot like continuously and couldn't make the adjustment. He got caught with very same shot by even though it was obviously from a orthodox stance. We got caught with the same shot by Mauricio Lara. There seems to be a certain shot his fighters can't seem to brace and prepare for. So that's the only concern I have. Even Fabio Wardley got caught with it to a lesser extent against Adelier when they fought a few weeks back, but luckily it wasn't it wasn't to his detriment. But outside of that, in terms of positioning, like footwork, movement, and moving off the strike, and sort of staying in a right construct throughout the majority of the rounds prior to not being massively tired, then he's good. But I think also because he gives a lot of input, his fight.
Did he freeze?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, because everybody was super still. Base, can you hear us?
I think he's frozen.
Yeah,
maybe you can back base. Yeah,
He's
I can hear
back.
you now.
Yeah, we didn't hear the last 30
So,
seconds.
what's the last thing you heard me say? Okay. No, I said the one thing about Ben Davidson's fighters is a lot of them do tend to get very tired because they have to think so much about what he's telling them, that like to be in a constant game plan, whereas it's not really free flowing. So that's the only concern I would have is he going to be taking in too much information and getting overwhelmed and tired and worn out as a result. But other than that, the defensive work should be all right.
It's interesting. If I could just say real quick, you say that. I mean, you're right about that. There has to be like a medium, because and then you hear Derek James in the corner, and it's like do your thing, do what you do, and there's like not enough information. I mean, it needs to be one or two very precise instructions. So I see what you're saying. There needs to be some kind of middle ground, and neither one of them are there. They're either too extreme or
too simple.
What?
Too simple.
What does that mean? Do my thing. What thing? Which one? So yeah.
Yeah, I used to remember what's his name there? Roger Mayweather. He'd be in the corner with Floyd, and he'd just look at him and go, "I just go out there and kick his ass," and I'd be like, "How am I going to do that?" It's funny that Base says that though, because sometimes when you do listen to Ben in the corner, he gives so much information, and if a fighter's sitting there trying to grab all that and retain all that, it's too much, I think.
So do you want Anthony Joshua to overthink this fight?
No,
I mean we don't. See, he's the naturally gifted athlete in there.
Yeah,
this is the perfect opponent to take control with his aggressive offense.
Absolutely. Like, what is this guy doing? How are we going to neutralize that? And what can you do so he doesn't do this? Like, simple.
Got you. Well, a shout out to MC in the ring. Nice to see you in the chat. It's been a while. Cheers to a great month of boxing. Orale! I agree with that.
Orale. That's right.
Shout out to MC.
All right, so D-Style, let me go to you with this one. I know you had some interesting thoughts on this one.
Look, what I'll say is this. I'm not going to say he's a bad trainer. He's trained world champions. He's been in the corner like for big fights, undisputed title fights. So I'm not here to say he's bad. I just think that sometimes he does have like a very safety first approach, is what I'll say. And I'm not sure that's something that's going to work for AJ, or it might. Like sometimes maybe we're all overthinking this, and maybe trying to get AJ to be something he's not, and get the dog out of him, and make him this very aggressive guy. Like maybe it'll work out. You know what I mean? It's what I'm thinking. So we'll see. But I'll say this: AJ, in my opinion, is good enough to beat Wallin. Like he should be able to get through this fight, even if he went in there without a trainer. I know it's a hell of a statement, but I do believe that. I do believe he's a better quality fighter than Wallin, and unless he really does have some issues mentally, then other than that, he should be able to take care of business. We'll see how it works out with Ben Davidson. I've just never been a fan of constantly switching trainers, although I understand it's a very specific circumstance, right? And all that. But the one thing about Ben, at the very least, he knows how to work a corner too. So he's in good hands, and as far as that goes. But we'll see. I want to see that AJ that used to smoke dudes. You know what I mean? I want to see the AJ that was throwing combinations like nothing, and just buzzsawing like Brazil. I want to see the AJ that knocked out Martin like with ease early in that fight. I want to see the AJ that was destroying guys. The destroyer is what I want to see, and maybe we won't get that again. I don't know. Maybe he's maturing. Maybe he's been maybe he does have those knockouts or the knockout loss Andy Ruiz in his mind, but I just don't know if it could go both ways. Either it's going to work just fine because maybe this is the guy that he should have right now, or we could see a more tentative AJ. I just don't know yet, but we'll see.
Dave, I kind of go back and I look at Vladimir Klitschko after he had a couple knockout losses that went to Corey Sanders and trying to remember the other guy, Lamont Brewster. And then he got with Emanuel Stewart. But he still changed his style a little bit. He slowed down the pace. He was a little bit less aggressive. He was more measured as well. And he was still able to win fights. Now, people talk about AJ not being as aggressive as he used to be. And I see that. But even this version of AJ still can outbox people. And Wallin's not a huge puncher. So even if this may not be the best trainer long term, I think for this fight, maybe it like D-Style said, it will be enough. It will suffice in this situation. What are your thoughts on that?
Can we see AJ get that second gear, the extra gears back? Because I understand what you're saying. You're saying Klitschko dominated for an eternity almost during a very weak heavyweight era, adjusting his style with Emanuel Stewart. Can AJ do that again and begin to dominate? I don't think so. Not with the people in the heavyweight division today. I think he can always improve on his defense, but he has to get that killer back. And that's why I was advocating probably for somebody for him to try Robert Garcia. Maybe Robert Garcia would have been successful bringing that dog back out of him. I don't think Wallin, I think I agree with you guys. I don't think Wallin, if you allow him to be dangerous, he's going to be dangerous. And I'm nervous for AJ that he's going to allow Wallin. He's going to, hey, let me try this new defensive tactics. Let me try work on my defense and counter punch. When I think naturally his skill set and his physical abilities, I think he could take Wallin out in 6 rounds with the right mindset.
Okay. Yeah, because Wallin's got a tricky style, but he's not a huge puncher. And I think if you press him, you could break him down. As we saw Fury, after getting the cut, he kind of pressed him a little bit later in the fight, and he was winning the rounds. And I think AJ is a very aggressive guy. I think he'll be able to press Wallin, and he should be able to get the decision, or maybe even a late knockout. Who knows? I think it's an interesting fight. it's definitely an interesting fight. So I want to talk about this fight that just got announced: Natasha Jonas versus Mikaela Mayer at 147 for Natasha Jonas's welterweight titles. It's funny because Mayer's the one moving up in weight, but when you see the two together, Mayer's looks a lot bigger than Jonas. She got the bigger frame, and she looks muscular right now. She looks fit. She looks really good. So I'm wondering, she's probably going to be even better at 147. I'm anticipating. But this is a tough fight. Natasha Jonas can punch. She's getting up there in age, but she is still a crafty veteran. She's a great slick counterpuncher herself. This is a good fight. What do you think of this matchup? And do you think that this is kind of like the changing of the guard, D-style, because Mikaela is on the way up and maybe Jonas has got one foot out the door?
Well, at the end of the day, the champion in this case is Natasha Jonas. Christine and I talked about this yesterday on her channel, yesterday. And look, I think they both are capable of beating the other, and that's what makes this fight very intriguing. I actually think it's a very hard fight to call, in my opinion, and that's a sign of a good fight. I think I don't think size is a factor. What I will say is this: I think Jonas, when she and Harper actually moved up from 130 to 154, I think the success that they found was, one, I don't think the level of opposition was as good, right? Even though the girls were bigger. Second, I think the pace and the way that we're able to, the footwork, the foot speed was a major factor in those fights. And the fact that it's only 2 minutes, 10 rounds, you know what I mean? You don't got to deal with it for 3 12-minute rounds. So they're able to maneuver themselves around the ring and maybe not gas out. But I think in this fight, Mayer's used to that pace because Mayer comes from that weight class, right? So Mayer's it's going to be. I don't think she's going to see anything out of the ordinary when it comes to foot speed, the footwork from Jonas. However, Jonas is still a very skilled fighter, very good overhands. I think she hits harder than Mayer. So I think Mayer has a better jab. I think Mayer's a little faster, although we're not really going to know until they're in the ring, because has the added weight of Mayer, is it going to slow her down? We don't quite know yet. I'm favoring Mayer. It's going to be close. I think she wins a very close decision, but I do think it's going to be one of those fights that people are arguing about who won when it's over, to be honest.
Those are my thoughts exactly. I believe the fight's going to be in the UK, if I'm not mistaken. Mm-hmm. And because of that, I don't want to cast a cloud over this, but if the fight is close, is Mikaela going to get the benefit of the doubt, Christine, here?
Yeah, I've thought about that, and I do agree, with D-style that it's going to be very close, and I think it's beautiful because it's going to warrant a rematch, because they're both very skilled, and I've seen Mikaela; she looks very comfortable in her new skin. She said she let her body go, and she feels right. I think that it is going to be a close fight. Emotionally, I'm tied to Mayer, even though Jonas is lovely, and I did get an opportunity to meet her and talk with her before it was announced that this was in the works, and I think that she's very skilled. Another thing that Mayer said was, an advantage that women have is their boxing life is longer than men in the sport, because they don't take as much damage. They don't have as many fight opportunities, which is also a negative, but the positive is that their boxing life is longer. I think they're both at the top of their game, regardless of their age, and it's going to be a fire show. And I'm really hoping that even, over there across the pond, that if Mayer does win, that she does get her hand raised, and I believe that she will, if that's the case. If she does win, I believe that they're going to be fair, because honestly, hey, it went more in a rematch, and there's more money to be made. But you know, that's the business part. So I'm excited about this matchup. I really am. I love it.
Dave, what do you think? This is like a 50-50 fight, man.
Well, yeah, it really is, because I haven't seen Mikaela perform at this weight class, but the Mikaela that fought Hamadouche right here in Las Vegas, that's the Mikaela I hope to see at 100 at this new weight class. And that's Jonas is what, a two division world champion, something that I think Mikaela aspires to be. And but you know, the fight that she had with Alicia, the cards didn't go in her favor. I thought she edged that fight. That's probably not a very favorable opinion, but I thought she edged it, and she's not going to get this decision. I think in the UK, it has to be a dominating performance like she did Hamadouche. And wouldn't that be something for her to win convincingly and to come back to Las Vegas? I think she just recently bought a house here in Las Vegas. So welcome, Mikaela, to another transplant just like me. It would be amazing for her to come back as a new world champion and start defending this title right here in her new hometown.
Gotcha. Sure. I wanted to go to base, but I think he popped out. Maybe he'll pop back in. But yeah, I think I'm not sure what happened. But yeah, I think this is a great fight. It's 50-50. I favor. Oh, here's base. See if we can get back in here. Here you go.
Because you're pressing it when I press it. I got it.
You back, base?
I can barely hear you guys. Hold on. Mic check.
Yeah. We can hear you.
Y'all hear me?
Yes.
I think I'm going to have to log off and I'll come back. Give me a minute.
All right. Yeah, so we'll give him a couple minutes, I guess. All right. Yeah, so yeah, I think it's a tough fight. Jonas is definitely the harder puncher here, but Mikaela will probably be the busier of the two. She brings a higher work rate, and I think she'll need to bring that type of game plan that she brought against Hamadouche, where she actually showed a really solid inside game. Because Jonas is the type of woman that needs space for that sneaky straight left hand down the pike. She's going to try and land that, use that as a counter punch. She's going to try to suck Mayer in, but Mayer's going to have to take that away from her. And the best way to take that away from her, she's going to have to smother it, right? Mm-hmm. Not give her the room to throw that punch and land it. So, but I think she's got to be busy in this fight, no doubt, and she's got to be careful that she outworks Jonas, but Jonas doesn't land those eye-catching, head-snapping shots, because Jonas can do that. She's very precise and she's really cerebral and slick with those punches. So she's got to be careful.
Yeah, I guess for me, I understand the argument that she's got to dominate, like Dave said, but I'm not sure about that. I've seen fighters pull out decisions when they're overseas more often than people let on. So
yeah.
Marshall won I'm sorry, not Marshall. Shields won a very close fight against Marshall.
Yeah.
Right. When you would think they would have given it to Marshall.
Yeah, we've seen Emanuel Lopez this year pull it off successfully more than once, right? As the road dog.
Yeah.
What she did against Hamadouche, guys, what I really liked in that fight is how well she listened to her corner to make that adjustment.
Yes.
And something I didn't see in the Alicia fight but in that fight, to the T, she followed her corner's instruction to make that crucial adjustment and then take control of that fight. If she can get back to that, even with the new weight class, I hope her speed carries up to the new weight class and makes those adjustments mid-fight. I think she can pull off this victory.
For sure.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. I think that's about it, guys. I'm not sure if Base is going to come back, but I want to thank everybody in the chat, thank the panel, and we will see you next week. And I'm looking forward to the fight tomorrow night, man.
Make sure everybody go to In the Ring with Christine and check out Women Crushing a Wednesday in about 25 minutes.
Yes. Thank you.
Christine.
I appreciate y'all. Have a good night.
All right. See you later.
Bye.